Nathan Carter wiped the grease off his hands and sighed. Another slow day at the repair station. He had been running this little outpost on the edge of human space for years, fixing up battered ships from traders, explorers, and the occasional bounty hunter. But today, something unusual had appeared on his scanners. A drifting, damaged vessel of unknown origin. Probably some junk, he muttered, but his curiosity got the better of him. Activating his small repair shuttle, he flew toward the wreck. As he got closer, his eyes widened. This was no ordinary ship. It was sleek, dark, and covered in battle scars. Strange markings ran along its hull, glowing faintly. It was definitely alien, nothing like the few extraterrestrial ships humanity had encountered before. Nathan approached carefully, scanning for life signs. One faint signal. Someone was still alive inside. He activated the docking clamps and forced open the damaged airlock. Inside, the ship was a mess, sparking wires, broken panels, and flickering emergency lights. Then he saw her. Slumped against the wall was a tall, armored woman, her silver blue skin shimmering under the dim lights. Her dark hair, braided with metal rings, fell over one shoulder. She clutched a long blade in one hand, and her golden eyes locked onto him with fierce intensity. Nathan raised his hands. "Hey, easy. I'm here to help." She tried to push herself up, but her body swayed. She was injured, badly. A deep gash ran across her side, her dark blood staining her armor. Still, her grip on the blade tightened. "You are human." Her voice was rough but strong. Nathan nodded. "Yeah, and you're not looking too good. Let me help." For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then, with a pained sigh, she slumped back against the wall. "My ship needs repairs." "No kidding," Nathan muttered, glancing at the damage around them. He moved closer, pulling out a small medical kit. She flinched when he reached for her wound. "Relax. I don't bite." She huffed, but let him work. As he cleaned the wound, she studied him closely, her gaze sharp despite her exhaustion. "I am Commander Riza Vaylor of the Salvani Empire," she finally said. Nathan raised an eyebrow. He had heard whispers of the Salvani, fierce warriors, undefeated in battle. If this woman was one of them, she was no ordinary soldier. "Well, Commander," he said, securing the bandage, "you're lucky I found you. Your ship is in bad shape, but I can fix it." Riza's eyes softened just a little. "You would do this for nothing." Nathan shrugged. "Fixing ships is what I do." She didn't respond, but something flickered in her gaze, something unreadable. Nathan had no idea that this simple act of kindness would change his life forever. Nathan stood in the center of the alien ship, hands on his hips, inspecting the damage. Sparks flew from broken circuits, and the main engine was completely dead. He let out a low whistle. "This is a mess," he muttered. "I've seen wrecks before, but this is next level bad." Commander Riza Vaylor, now sitting on a damaged console, watched him carefully. Though still weak from her wounds, she held herself like a warrior, alert, proud, and always ready for battle. "You can repair it?" she asked, her voice steady but full of doubt. Nathan smirked. "Lady, I can fix anything." Riza narrowed her golden eyes. "I am not lady. I am a Salvani warrior." Nathan chuckled. "All right, warrior. Let's get to work." He pulled out his toolkit and started examining the ship's systems. The tech was unlike anything he had seen before. Sleek, advanced, but strangely inefficient in some areas. Whoever built this ship focused on power, but not on durability. That explained why it had fallen apart so easily. As he worked, Riza studied him. Humans were supposed to be weak, soft, unworthy of battle. And yet, this man was different. He moved with confidence, his hands quick and skilled. He didn't hesitate, didn't ask for permission. He simply fixed what was broken. "You are not afraid of me," she finally said. Nathan, tightening a bolt, glanced at her. "Should I be?" She tilted her head. Most species fear the Xalveni. Nathan shrugged. Well, I'm not most species. For the first time, a small smirk tugged at the corner of Riza's lips. Hours passed as Nathan worked. He replaced burnt circuits, rerouted power, and even modified some of the ship's energy systems. He could tell Riza was getting restless, watching his every move like a hawk. Finally, he leaned back and wiped the sweat from his forehead. All right, I've done some repairs. Try powering up the main systems. Riza hesitated for a moment, then pressed a few glowing symbols on the control panel. A low hum filled the ship as the lights flickered back to life. The console screens lit up, and the ship's core systems came online. Riza's eyes widened slightly. You actually did it. Nathan grinned. Told you. I'm good at this. She stared at him, something unreadable in her expression. You improved the power efficiency. This ship is running smoother than before. Nathan leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. Yeah, your tech is impressive, but you guys waste a lot of energy. I made a few tweaks. Riza was silent for a moment. Then she stood up, stepping closer to him. You are skilled, human. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Thanks. Her golden eyes locked onto his. In Xalveni culture, such skill is highly valued. Nathan had no idea what she truly meant. Not yet. Nathan stretched his arms and leaned against the wall of Riza's ship, satisfied with his work. Most of the critical systems were running now, and the ship was no longer a floating wreck. All right, warrior, he said with a grin, your ship's back in business. Riza stood in front of him, her sharp golden eyes studying him intensely. Nathan had noticed that she had been watching him more and more, but now there was something different in her gaze. You have done me a great service, Nathan Carter, she said, her tone unusually serious. Nathan shrugged. No big deal. Fixing ships is what I do. But Riza shook her head. No. Among my people, a debt must be repaid. You saved my life and repaired my vessel. I cannot leave this unanswered. Nathan raised an eyebrow. All right. So, what does that mean? She stepped closer, standing just inches away. Nathan could feel the heat of her presence, the power in her stance. He had seen warriors before, but nothing like her. There are only two ways to settle such a debt, she continued. The first is a life debt. I would swear myself to your service, protecting you until my death. Nathan blinked. That sounds extreme. She nodded. It is a great honor. And the second way. For the first time, Riza's expression changed. A small, almost playful smirk crossed her lips. The second way is to take me as your mate. Nathan choked on air. Wait. What? You repaired my ship. You saved me. You proved your skill. Riza's voice was calm, but there was something almost teasing in her tone now. Among my people, such things are attractive. Nathan's brain short-circuited. Hold on. I think there's been a misunderstanding. I wasn't trying to impress you. I was just helping. Riza tilted her head, and that is why it is impressive. Nathan rubbed his temples. Okay. Let's back up. Can't I just say, you're welcome, and we call it even? Riza crossed her arms, looking amused. No. Nathan groaned. Of course not. The situation was spiraling out of control. He was just a mechanic, not some warrior hero from a Holovid. He had never expected to get caught up in an alien tradition, let alone one involving life debts and courtship. So what happens now? He asked, half afraid of the answer. Riza's smirk widened. I will accompany you. I must understand you better before I decide the proper way to repay my debt. Nathan sighed. Great, just great. As he looked at the fierce, beautiful warrior standing before him, he had a feeling his life was never going to be the same again. Nathan sat in his repair station's small dining area, staring at the cup of coffee in his hands. Across the table, Riza Vaylor sat with perfect posture, her golden eyes never leaving him. It had been 2 days since he repaired her ship, and yet she was still here. "So," Nathan began, rubbing the back of his neck, "I thought you'd be long gone by now. You know, back to your Xalveni empire, or whatever." Riza took a slow sip from her drink, a dark Xalveni beverage he had brought from her ship. "I told you, human. I owe you a debt." "Yeah, but do you really have to follow me around because of it?" Nathan sighed. "I mean, you could just send me a thank you card or something." Riza smirked. "Xalveni do not write cards. We honor our debts in person." Nathan groaned, leaning back in his chair. "You're really not gonna let this go, huh?" She tilted her head, as if considering something. Then, in a slow, deliberate voice, she said, "You intrigue me, Nathan Carter." Nathan blinked. What?" "You are unlike the men of my people," Riza continued. "You do not fight with weapons, yet you win battles. You do not command warriors, yet you inspire loyalty. And you reject my offer, yet you have caught my interest." Nathan suddenly had a very bad feeling. "Wait a second. Is this—" He gestured between them. "Is this some kind of weird Xalveni courting ritual?" Riza's smirk widened. "It is possible." Nathan nearly knocked over his coffee. "You've got to be kidding me." Before he could protest further, the station's comm panel beeped, and an alert flashed across the screen. Someone was approaching. Nathan frowned and pulled up the display. "A Xalveni warship." "Oh, great. What now?" Riza stood up, her expression serious. "That is a high-ranking vessel. Someone important is aboard." A few minutes later, the warship docked. A group of armored Xalveni warriors entered the station, their presence commanding. At their lead was a tall, broad-shouldered male with piercing silver eyes. "Riza Valor," he said, voice deep and filled with authority. "You dishonor yourself." Riza stiffened. "Kalos." Nathan looked between them. "Friend of yours." Kalos sneered at him. "This weak human is the one you have chosen." "Chosen? Whoa, hold on, I didn't choose anything." Nathan protested. Kalos ignored him, his gaze locked on Riza. "If this human wishes to claim you, he must prove his worth." Nathan's stomach dropped. "Oh no. No. I am not fighting an alien gladiator." Riza turned to him, a glint of amusement in her eyes. "If you refuse, it will be seen as cowardice." Nathan groaned. "Why does this keep getting worse?" Riza smirked. "Because you interest me, Nathan Carter." And just like that, Nathan realized he was in way over his head. Nathan stood frozen, staring at Kalos, the massive Xalveni warrior who had just challenged him. His brain struggled to process the situation. A few days ago, he was just a simple mechanic. Now he was apparently in some kind of alien duel for reasons he barely understood. "Okay, let's slow down here," Nathan said, raising his hands. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not trying to claim Riza. I just fixed her ship." Kalos scoffed. "A weak excuse. The fact remains, she follows you. She speaks of you with interest. If you do not wish to fight, then you are unworthy." Nathan turned to Riza. "Please tell me there's another way out of this." Riza smirked. "If you refuse, you will be seen as a coward." Nathan groaned. "Yeah, you said that already." He looked back at Kalos, who was already rolling his shoulders like he was warming up for a fight. "And what happens if I lose?" Kalos grinned, showing sharp teeth. "You will survive. Probably." "Not reassuring," Nathan muttered. The Xalveni warriors formed a circle, making it clear that the fight was happening whether Nathan liked it or not. Riza stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "Nathan Carter," she said, "you do not need to defeat him. You only need to prove you are not weak." Nathan sighed. "Great. I'll just not be weak against a giant alien warrior. No problem." Kalos stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "We begin." Nathan barely had time to react before Kalos lunged at him. He dodged to the side, barely avoiding a punch that probably would have broken bones. Okay. Let's talk about this, Nathan yelped, ducking under another swing. I'm a mechanic, not a fighter. Kalos laughed. Then you will fall quickly. Nathan's eyes darted around, searching for something, anything, that could help. Then he noticed the repair tools he had left nearby. An idea formed. As Kalos charged again, Nathan grabbed a plasma wrench and activated it. The tool hummed with energy as Nathan ducked low and jabbed it against Kalos' armor. Sparks flew as the energy discharged, making the warrior stumble back. Kalos growled. A trick. Nathan smirked. No, just good problem solving. Ryza's golden eyes lit up with amusement. Clever. Kalos roared and rushed again. Nathan used his smaller size to his advantage, dodging and using quick hits with his tools. He couldn't overpower Kalos, but he could outthink him. Finally, after a few more dodges and well-placed strikes, Kalos stopped. He exhaled sharply, his silver eyes narrowing. Then, to Nathan's surprise, he nodded. You are not strong, Kalos said, but you are not weak. Nathan, panting, blinked. Oh, thanks. Ryza stepped beside him. You have earned respect. Nathan shook his head. I just wanted to fix ships. But deep down, he knew his life was never going to be simple again. Nathan sat on a crate inside his repair station, still catching his breath after the unexpected duel. Across from him, Kalos stood tall, his expression unreadable. The other Xalvani warriors murmured amongst themselves, clearly surprised that a mere human had held his own. Ryza, standing beside Nathan, crossed her arms. You underestimated him, Kalos. Kalos exhaled sharply, then turned to Nathan. You are not a warrior, yet you fought with cunning. You did not win, but you did not lose. This is acceptable. Nathan gave a tired smirk. Glad to hear it. Can I go back to fixing ships now? Kalos ignored the question and looked at Ryza. You have made your choice then. Ryza's golden eyes flickered with something unreadable. She stepped forward and spoke in a firm, clear voice. Yes, I will stay with Nathan Carter. Nathan nearly fell off the crate. Wait, what? That's not what Kalos frowned. He is not Xalvani. He is not a warrior. He has proven himself in his own way, Ryza said. Strength is not only in battle. He is skilled, resourceful, and he interests me. Nathan groaned. Can we stop using that word? It's starting to sound dangerous. Kalos stared at Ryza for a long moment before finally giving a slow nod. Very well, but if he dishonors you, I will return. Nathan swallowed. Noted. With that, Kalos and his warriors turned and left the station. Nathan exhaled in relief. Finally, maybe now my life can go back to normal. Ryza smirked. Doubtful. Nathan ran a hand down his face. Yeah, I figured. Later that evening, Nathan sat in his quarters, tinkering with a broken console when Ryza entered. She moved with the grace of a predator, her sharp eyes watching his every move. So Nathan said, not looking up, why are you really staying? Ryza sat across from him. Xalvani honor demands that I repay my debt, but there is more. Nathan set his tools down and looked at her. More. She leaned forward slightly. I have fought many battles. I have seen warriors fall and empires clash. But I have never met a human like you. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You haven't met many humans, have you? Ryza smirked. No, but you are different. You fight without weapons. You stand your ground even when you are afraid. And you challenge expectations. Nathan chuckled. You make it sound cooler than it is. I just don't like getting punched. Ryza studied him for a long moment, then said, I wish to learn more about you, Nathan Carter. Nathan sighed. I have a feeling that's gonna be a lot of work. Ryza's smirk widened. Good. I enjoy a challenge. Nathan groaned, but deep down, he knew his life had just taken another unexpected turn. Nathan sat inside his workshop, repairing a damaged power core. Sparks flew as he carefully adjusted the connections. Across the room, Riza stood with her arms crossed, watching him like a hunter studying its prey. Nathan sighed and looked up. Okay, are you gonna stare at me all day, or do you actually need something? Riza smirked. I am observing. Observing what? She stepped closer, golden eyes scanning his hands as he worked. Your skill. The way you solve problems. You do not fight, yet you control power with your hands. It is fascinating. Nathan chuckled. Lady, it's just mechanics, not exactly a battlefield. Riza tilted her head. That is where you are wrong. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Oh, enlighten me. She picked up a wrench from the table, flipping it in her fingers like a dagger. On the battlefield, a warrior must think fast, must adapt, must find ways to win, even when the odds are against them. She pointed the wrench at him. You do the same, but with machines instead of enemies. Nathan leaned back, thinking. Never looked at it that way before. Riza placed the wrench down and sat on the crate beside him. That is why I remain here. You are different from any warrior I have met. Nathan smirked. So you're saying I impress you? Riza's eyes gleamed with amusement. Perhaps. Nathan exhaled, shaking his head. You Salvani really take everything seriously, don't you? She nodded. Honor is everything. Strength, skill, intelligence. These are what define us. Nathan tapped his wrench on the table. All right, then let me ask you this. What happens if a Salvani doesn't live up to those expectations? Riza's smirk faded. A flicker of something unreadable passed through her expression. They are cast aside. Nathan frowned. That sounds harsh. She looked away for a moment before meeting his gaze again. It is necessary. Nathan studied her carefully. You're talking from experience, aren't you? Riza's jaw tightened slightly, but then she exhaled and nodded. I was once among the highest warriors of my fleet, but I disobeyed in order to protect innocent lives. My commander saw it as weakness. Nathan's expression softened. So they exiled you. Riza smirked bitterly. Not officially. But they made it clear I was no longer one of them. Nathan shook his head. Sounds like they don't know what they lost. Riza gave him a curious look. You think I made the right choice? Nathan shrugged. Saving lives instead of following blind orders. Yeah, I do. For the first time, Riza seemed genuinely surprised. Then, slowly, she smiled. Not a smirk, but something real. You are different, Nathan Carter. Nathan grinned. You keep saying that like it's a bad thing. Riza chuckled. No, it is a very good thing. Nathan wasn't sure what that meant, but he had a feeling his quiet life was never coming back. Nathan leaned against the railing of his repair station's observation deck, staring at the stars. The vast emptiness of space had always been peaceful to him, a quiet contrast to the chaos of life. But tonight, he wasn't alone. Riza stood beside him, her golden eyes reflecting the distant lights of the cosmos. She had been unusually quiet since their last conversation, and for once, Nathan didn't know what to say. Finally, he broke the silence. So, what happens now? Riza glanced at him. What do you mean? Nathan sighed. You said you owe me a debt. You said you were staying to repay it. But let's be real. You don't owe me anything anymore. Riza's expression didn't change. You repaired my ship. You defended your honor. You proved yourself. She turned slightly, facing him fully. But the debt is not why I stay. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Then why? She smirked, but there was something softer behind it this time. Because you are different. Because you see things in a way I do not. Because I wish to understand you. Nathan let out a small laugh. You make it sound like I'm some great mystery. Riza tilted her head. To me you are. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. All right, let's make this simple. You were a great warrior. You had status, power. You could go anywhere, do anything. So why waste your time here with me, a guy who just fixes ships? Riza was silent for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice quieter than usual. Because you fight in a way I have never seen. You do not use weapons, yet you stand your ground. You do not seek battle, yet you do not run from it. Among my people, strength is measured by war, but you have shown me that strength can take many forms. Nathan blinked. That was probably the nicest thing anyone had ever said to him. He wasn't used to being called strong, especially not by a warrior like her. Well, he said, rubbing the back of his neck, I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Riza smirked. You should. A comfortable silence settled between them. For once, there was no challenge, no battle, no misunderstanding. Just two people standing under the endless stars. Then Nathan frowned. Wait, does this mean Kalos is gonna come back and try to fight me again? Riza chuckled. Perhaps. Nathan groaned. Great, just what I needed. She nudged his shoulder playfully. Do not worry, Nathan Carter. If he comes, I will fight at your side. Nathan looked at her, surprised. You'd do that? Riza smirked. Of course. After all, you interest me. Nathan sighed, shaking his head with a grin. You just won't let that go, will you? Riza's eyes gleamed with amusement. Never. And for once, Nathan didn't mind at all. Nathan stood in his workshop, tightening the last bolt on a damaged thruster. It had been a quiet few days since his duel with Kalos. Too quiet. He knew better than to think his life would stay peaceful for long. Sure enough, Riza stormed into the workshop, her expression sharp with tension. We have a problem, she said. Nathan sighed, setting down his wrench. Of course we do. What is it this time? Riza tapped the console, bringing up a holographic display. A large Salvani warship was approaching the station. It wasn't Kalos' vessel. It was something bigger. That, Riza said, pointing at the screen, is a Salvani high command ship. Nathan frowned. And that's bad, right? She nodded. Very bad. Only high-ranking officials use these ships. If they are here, it means they know about me. And about you. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. Great, just what I needed. A loud alert blared through the station. The warship had sent a message. Riza pressed a button, and a deep, commanding voice filled the room. Riza Vaylor, you have disgraced the Salvani name by abandoning your duty. Surrender now, or we will take you by force. Nathan cursed under his breath. Okay, so what's the plan? Running? Hiding? Riza smirked. I do not run, Nathan Carter. He sighed. Of course you don't. She turned to him, her expression serious. They will not leave without a fight. But this is not just about me anymore. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? Riza hesitated for a moment. By helping me, you have involved yourself. They may see you as an ally or a threat. Nathan groaned. Why does everything with you turn into a fight? Riza chuckled. It is the Salvani way. Nathan looked at the screen again. The warship was getting closer. He knew they didn't stand a chance in a direct fight. But maybe they didn't have to fight at all. I have an idea, he said. Riza raised an eyebrow. I am listening. Nathan grabbed a data pad and pulled up a map of the nearby asteroid field. If we can lure them in here, we might be able to disable their ship. We don't need to win. We just need to make them leave. Riza studied the plan, then smiled. You are a strange man, Nathan Carter. He smirked. Yeah, I get that a lot. The station shook as the warship docked. Time was up. Nathan took a deep breath. Let's do this. Riza placed a hand on his shoulder. Together. Nathan nodded. He had no idea what was coming next, but one thing was clear. There was no turning back now. Nathan's heart pounded as the Salvani warship docked with his station. The air hummed with tension. Riza stood beside him, her posture straight, her golden eyes sharp. "They will come armed," she warned. "They do not expect resistance." Nathan exhaled. "Good. That means we have the advantage." The docking doors hissed open, and a group of armored Salvani soldiers stepped in, weapons raised. At the center stood a tall, imposing figure, Commander Varric, his black armor marked with the insignia of Salvani High Command. "Riza Valor," Varric's voice boomed. "You will surrender now." Riza didn't move. "I have no intention of surrendering." Varric's cold eyes flicked to Nathan. "And the human? Does he understand what he is caught in?" Nathan crossed his arms. "Oh, I understand just fine. You don't like that Riza thinks for herself, so you came to drag her back." Varric sneered. "She is Salvani. She belongs with her people." Nathan shook his head. "She's not property. She makes her own choices." Varric's expression darkened. "Foolish human. You know nothing of our ways." He raised a hand, signaling his troops. "Take them both." Before they could react, the station's lights flickered. Nathan smirked. The trap was set. The moment the soldiers stepped forward, the emergency override activated. The floor beneath them released a shockwave of energy, scrambling their suits and weapons. They stumbled, their armor crackling with static interference. Riza moved first. She spun, striking the nearest soldier, sending him crashing to the ground. Nathan, meanwhile, activated the station's remote controls, triggering the docking bay doors. The sudden shift in pressure sent the disoriented soldiers stumbling back. Varric growled, struggling to stand. "This will not." Before he could finish, Riza grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the wall. "You came here thinking I was weak," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "You were wrong." Varric gasped for breath. "You betray your own kind for a human." Riza's eyes burned with determination. "No, I stand for what is right." Nathan stepped beside her, arms crossed. "You guys lost. Now, get off my station before I make things worse for you." Varric glared at them, but he knew he had no choice. His soldiers, still recovering from the shock, helped each other up and staggered toward their ship. As the warship undocked and retreated into space, Nathan let out a deep breath. That was insane. Riza smirked. "And yet, we are still standing." Nathan chuckled. "Yeah, somehow." He turned to her. "So, what now?" She looked at him, her expression softer than before. "Now, we see where the stars take us." Nathan grinned. "Sounds like a plan." And as the station drifted through the endless void, Nathan realized something. His life was no longer simple. But maybe he liked it that way.